everyone, my name is Mehek. I hope you guys are doing fine and safe, and like always, I also hope that you guys are reading. For those of you who are in Mumbai, I hope you're enjoying the almost close to this unexpected winter that we guys have got. I'm loving it. You can see from the sweatshirt that I'm wearing. I love sweatshirts, and I'm so glad that Mumbai weather is finally allowing us to wear sweatshirts. Anyways, the book that I finished, the third book of Jan month, is a classic novel. It's set in 19th century. It's a fiction book, and it was first published in 1847, so it's that old. And it's a beautiful hardcover, so without much curiosity, the book is Jane Eyre or Eyre, how you want to pronounce it. It's by Charlotte Bronte. That's how it looks. It's a beautiful hardcover with golden rims. I love it. Just gorgeous. And it's a fat book, a little fat book than what I was reading. Coming to the story, Jane is our main character. She is an orphan. She has lost her parents, and after losing her parents, she goes and lives with her maternal uncle and aunt, Mrs. Reed. Now, when the uncle is dying, he takes a promise from his own wife that you have to look after Jane like our own child. You have to care for her, love her, and just bring her well. And at the deathbed, obviously the aunt gives the promise, but she's really not happy with the arrangement because she doesn't love Jane at all, and she obviously doesn't consider Jane her own child. So she treats her very badly. She considers her a wicked and devilish child, and she literally punishes her for no reason, whereas she pampers and literally spoils her own children. So Jane is obviously very unhappy at this house. Later on, she's sent to a boarding school to be educated and brought up. Jane is obviously happy with this arrangement because she finally gets to leave this horrible house and her aunt and cousins behind. But the life at boarding school is also not very easy because since it's a boarding school for orphanages, because of less funds, they do not have appropriate clothes for winters, and they do not even have proper amount of or adequate amount of food. So there are nights and days when she is starving because there's not enough food. But in spite of all this, in spite of the luxuries and the comfort missing, Jane is truly happy because for one, she's surrounded with people who truly love her and care her. She has friends, she has teachers who look after her, and she's happy to be surrounded by people who love her and care for her. So it's not really that bad. And this is a place where Jane grows up. She becomes a woman. She's now strong and independent, and she has acquired skills that will definitely help her in her life. Right, at the end of the boarding schools, when it is her final years, and now she's from a student, she's become a teacher, and she's teaching at that boarding school. She finally decides that it's time to move on, and because she has this thing of seeing new places and meeting new people, she decides to shift to this new town where she takes the job of a governess. Basically, her owner is Mr. Rochester, and he has a small girl, Adele. So basically, she takes the job of tutoring her and becomes the governess of this new house. And finally, she arrives to this new house in a new town where she is working for Mr. Rochester. And she realizes that once she reaches that, yes, it's a nice, fine house, but the house has a lot of secrets. And the servants knows about it, but they're hiding something from Jane. And then there is this Mr. Rochester, who is a mystery in himself, and Jane knows that yes, there is something off there, but in spite of the difference in their social standing, in spite of the dangers that are there in the house, Jane cannot help but she's really falling hard and faster for Mr. Rochester. And it's a new feeling for her because she's someone who has always been deprived of love and everything, attention, and now suddenly she's getting this attention from Mr. Rochester and love. So obviously it's a new feeling for her, but yes, the house has its own secrets and danger that Jane cannot deny. Now what follows is this really immersive Gothic tale, which is emotional at the same time. It's a tale of Jane's journey, which explores various themes. So the book is also about finding true romance, but it's also about marriage and gender roles and power dynamics and stereotypes, things like that, classism. So the book explores all these, and obviously I can't tell you more about the story because that would be a huge spoiler, you know, that would be like giving away the climax and the ending, which I don't want to do. So yeah, but what I'm going to tell you something is about the writing and the main character that's basically, I think, going to urge you and inspire you to read this book. Talking about the writing, I think, you know, it was such a descriptive and immersive writing. Let me tell you, it's not an easy book. It's a difficult book. It's 500 pages plus. And because it was written in 19th century and, you know, it's a classic novel, the vocab is difficult, okay? And the writing is extremely descriptive. So the writer has described, for example, every landscape, the tree, every object, you know, everything around you. And what I really like about the book, that every element, you know, whether it's the landscape, whether it's the curtain, whether it's the, you know, for example, whether it's the tree, everything, you know, adds value to that particular scene which is going on. And you know, it just brings about that scene, and that is what I really like. So because the writing is so descriptive and the vocab is little difficult, it is a difficult book. You need to be really, you know, reading it at a slow pace, and you need to be really focused. But trust me, once you get a hang of this book and once you get this, you know, hang of the storyline, it will be very difficult, you know, to put the book down because the characters are so interesting. You know, every paragraph is so intense. Every scene is so intense. There's so much happening. And I remember the last 150 pages, I just couldn't put the book down. I needed to know what the ending is going to be about. Then obviously is the interesting, very strong character, Jane. She's someone that, you know, her, you know, this really strong demeanor and personality will really blow you away. I think to describe Jane, the best thing would be she's someone, you know, whatever life throws at her, she shrugs it off. She doesn't, you know, she picks herself up and she moves on. So that is something that truly describes Jane. She's someone who will stand up against injustice, and you know, so. And she's also someone, you need to know that, you know, she's also someone who is plain. Like, she's not your pretty, beautiful damsel in distress. And nor, for that matter, Mr. Rochester, love interest, is also someone who is not, you know, an attractive looking man. So I think, you know, if you have read any of the fiction novels in 19th century or any of these, you know, romance novels, in that mostly, you know, the girl and the boy are good looking ones, but in this it's not that case. You know, these two are just plain looking people. And you know, the author has stressed upon things other than their looks, you know, which is so refreshing as a reader, to read about these two characters falling in love and not read about their looks being mentioned, but something more. They both are, like Jane and Mr. Rochester, are more than just their looks, you know, which is really refreshing to read about. So yeah, that was on these two characters. I think, like I said, you know, I think it was very brave of the author, Charlotte, to pen down this book. She was a female author. Imagine, you know, penning this book down in the 19th century with a female lead, and a lead which was, you know, like I said, very plain in looks and different to what you were actually reading about or mentioned in the, you know, contemporary novels during that. And you know, for me, I think it was basically, if I have to just describe this book in 2 lines, it would be, you know, Jane finding her true love in her life, and also Jane being this person who, you know, decided that she's going to decide what her ending is going to be. Her ending is not going to be defined by the societal norms or, you know, her social standing or her situations in life, but her ending is going to be something that is defined by Jane and no one else. So I think, and doing that in the 19th century was, I think, quite brave. So for me, this book is all about that, about this woman who was strong, independent, who decided to live her life on her own terms, and who found, you know, love in that process. So yeah, that's all on this beautiful classic novel. Definitely recommended to you guys. I mean, just imagine, this was published in 1847, and readers, not just me, readers are still reading it in 2022, and readers are definitely connecting with it and resonating with it. So it obviously says a lot about this book, about this classic novel. Definitely recommend, and you guys should definitely read it. Thank you. I'm going to see you next week with another book, the 4th book of Jan month. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.